Thank you.
So, thanks everybody for getting on, and I'm sure there will be more coming on here as the evening progresses. But what I thought I'd chat a little bit about is I've talked with you a lot about my Speedy Solutions to Cut and Organize Your Scrap Stash. This is a book I have available on my website. And this is what I use to cut up all of my stash. And someone had made the comment, how do you stand to cut up all your fabrics? And it's not that I go in and cut up new yardage. What I'm doing is cutting up all of this. So these are fabrics that you recognize from the quilts that I've just made, the two Fall Fields of Four. These are all just leftover parts and pieces from that. Plus there is some batting from a previous quilt. There's some flannel from a baby quilt that I just made for a customer. Here's some blue corduroy from a memory bear that I just finished. So what I'm going to do with all of this, and I try not to let my stash get too big because then it's overwhelming, but I'm going to press all of this very nicely, and then I'm going to cut it up into squares. Or I may cut up some of this, especially the beautiful fall things, into templates. I might use a periwinkle template or a hexie template or a diamond template. I've got a variety of templates. I have a number of them on hand. You'll see all of my templates out on my store. You can see the ones that I have available. But I like to have a good supply of a variety of fabrics cut up into templates as well as into the squares, so that if I need to make a really fast baby quilt, let's say, I can grab tumbling blocks and lights and darks and medium colored tumbling blocks that I've already cut out and put them together in a beautiful little quilt. So it just makes things go so fast. If you've got a deadline where you really need to get something done quickly, having all of that available, it's just it's great. I love it. Being able to just go to your stash and pull 2-inch squares or 2.5-inch squares or 3-inch squares or whatever you need in the quantity that you need, and then take it to your sewing machine and start sewing is great. There's nothing like it. And here are some of my bins, and I do it's kind of hard to see that, but I put up, whoops, sorry. I take what do you call those little machines? It's a labeling machine, excuse me. I went blank there for a minute. I use a labeling machine and I mark the front and the top so that I know what's inside. Now these are all kind of messy because I'm in here a lot, but this is my 3-inch, and I did have this neatly organized with my lights, my mediums, and my darks, and as you can see right now, I've been in and out of this so much, it's kind of all over, so I need to get back in here and get it organized again. And it makes it so much nicer if it is organized, because then you can just pull your darks, pull your mediums, count out what you need. And whenever I have leftover half square triangles that I've made, I also put them in the appropriate size. So these were 3-inch. So I've got them in this 3-inch container, and I can use them for future quilts. So it's a great way to store everything. So that's my 3-inch. Here is my 2.5-inch. Let's see how messy this one is. Not as bad. You can still sort of see the arrangement. We've got lights here, kind of some mediums, and the darkers are going this way. And again, you can see some half square triangles that I have had made up for previous quilts, and I put them in here, and I will use them for future quilts. So I do need to do some housekeeping. Haven't had time to accomplish that yet. And then for my 5-inch quilts, I have a lot of 5-inch. So most of this is lights and mediums. And then in another container, I have leftover mediums and darks, because I do try to cut up a lot of 5-inch. These charms are really, really handy to have for a variety of quilts. Even just making up a quick baby quilt with charm squares is wonderful. Just grab an assortment based upon your pattern. But I love having my stash cut up into squares as well as some of the templates in order to be able to use it for future quilts. So I do have cubes and cubes throughout my studio here with all of my fabrics folded and stored in the cubes, and I've got the cubes identified with the values, whether it's a reds or blues or greens, etc. So, and I kind of have it memorized too, where all of them are, and that way they're probably 1 yard, 2 yards. I don't keep anything larger than that in the cubes, but I fold them all up and have that available for borders, because you need borders for quilts and you need yardage for that. And then I have over in the corner of my quilting studio, there's a pull-out, is a cupboard that goes from floor to ceiling, and it has these pull-out drawers, and I have the big backing yardage folded up in there by color. And then when I need a really big piece for my backings, I go to that cupboard, and that's where I pull my backings. And then, you know, I was going to grab, I ended up, over the years, I quilt a lot of quilts on my long arm, and I pull off, you know, a lot of quilts, and we end up with all this excess batting, and they're, you know, little pieces often. And I do like to maintain the bigger pieces so that I can piece those together for small wall quilts. But I have had a lot of this kind of thing. And so what I do is I literally cut these up into 2.5-inch rolls. So let's pretend this is a 2.5-inch roll. And then I just start rolling it up, and I create one of those jelly roll rug things. I have probably 8 or 9 of these stored in another cupboard. So anytime I need this 2.5-inch batting for a jelly roll rug, for a purse, for a vase, all those different accessories that we like to use batting for, you know, that's what I'll use. I've already got it. I don't have to go out and spend money on a roll of batting because I have it. So that's what I do with those. It's just some ideas for you. And I mentioned earlier that I have some corduroy here. Now, I wouldn't necessarily use corduroy in a quilt, but I might want to use this for an applique piece. So I might cut this up in as large a piece as I can get out of this and store it where I have some upholstery and various fabrics that aren't necessarily quilting fabrics, and I will use them for applique because it's so much nicer to be able to go find a smaller piece to cut out an applique template from this as opposed to cutting out a section of yardage, right? I feel like I'm always wasting my yardage if I'm cutting into it and just getting a little chunk out. So I use a lot of this for that purpose. So this corduroy won't be put in a quilt except for maybe as an applique piece. So that hopefully that kind of helps you and shows you how I go about this process. And my book goes into complete detail, and it goes into a whole lot more than what I've just mentioned here tonight. So if you're interested, you can check that out on my site. Now I want to show you, let me move this stuff out of the way. This quilt behind me, I'm going to unpin or unspotlight this. Hold on a second. Okay, behind me here is the Starlight quilt. And I've taken some yarn and I've identified the center 12.5-inch block. And I'm going to show you how to make that block tonight. So if you all have pencil and paper to write down the particular pieces you're going to need for this block, or in this video we'll have it available for you too, but for each block, each one of these blocks, what you're going to need are these pieces. And this is the quilt that I'm showing you. It's this scrappy Starlight quilt, and it is the first pattern in this book. And it gives you the yardage, it gives you everything that you need in there. But tonight I'm just going to show you how to do this one block. So for this first block, you are going to need 1 4.5-inch white. So there's that. And that's going to be the center. You're going to need 4 2.5-inch lights. So I went to my 2.5-inch bin and I pulled 4 lights. You're going to need 4 2.5 by 4.5-inch rectangles. And since I don't store rectangles, here's what I did. I went to my 5-inch bin and I pulled two 5-inch squares. I cut them in half, so I've got a 2.5 by 5-inch square, and then I just cut off the little bitty end there so that I ended up with, let me show it to you here, a 2.5 by 4.5-inch rectangle. And you need 4 of those. So that's how I accomplished that. You also need 4 2.5-inch brights, and I chose reds. I'm doing this for a Christmassy quilt here. So I've got 4 reds for my brights. You also need 4 3-inch lights, and I grabbed these from my 3-inch bin. And you need a total of 8 3-inch darks. And here's what I did. I chose 4 of the deep burgundy darks, and I chose 4 of the greens. So those are my 8 darks. And I'll show you how I use them in this block. And the last thing you need is 4 of the 3-inch brights. So this is what you need for each block. And this is the block right here. And it's a 12.5-inch block, and finished it's a 12-inch block. And this quilt is basically a 9-patch. If you look at it here, there's basically just 9 squares in it. They're each 12 inches. So it's not a real big wall hanging, but it's just perfect for my foyer.
Excuse me, Lori.
Yes.
Were your hands on the red and the burgundy and the green? Are those squares? They look rectangle.
Oh, they are squares only because.
Oh, I see.
See.
Okay, thank you.
I have them laying on top of one another.
Gotcha.
See that?
Okay.
So yes, they are squares.
Thank you.
Any other questions on that? Some these were unusual in that they were cut like this. I actually got some of this at an estate sale, and they were cut like this with some sort of a pinking shear, but which is unusual, but they work just fine, and they're Christmas fabrics. Any other questions on that right there? And these also are squares, but I have them all laying together, so that's why they look like a rectangle. Okay, so there's 9 of these blocks that you need, and let me show you how we put it together. Let me move this over here. A couple of tools that are really handy are the 2.5 and the 4.5-inch Fiskars square up rulers. I use these a lot in my scrap quilts, and they come with this rotating mat, which is great for when you are squaring up these blocks. I just got mine out on Amazon, is where I originally found it, but they're in your favorite quilt shop, I'm sure, and you'll find them just almost anywhere. So to me, this is just a very helpful set. So basically, you're putting your block together as a 9-patch. So you're creating for each unit in the corner, you need a 2.5-inch bright and a 2.5-inch light. And then you're creating a half square triangle with 2.5-inch darks and 2.5-inch lights. And you're going to make 4 of those units. And I positioned I'm going to center this a little bit for you. I positioned the red square out in the corners. And there's the other 2 units right there. Now the center is, of course, just the 4.5-inch square. And then each of these are those rectangles that we created, the 4.5 by 2.5-inch rectangle. And then these are 2 different half square triangles. You're taking the dark greens and putting them with the brights, and you're making a half square triangle. And then you can position them like this to create your square. You could lay it out, as you can see, here's the rectangle and this rectangle of the 2 half square triangles. You could lay this out in a different fashion. I was playing with this earlier. If you were to push all of your reds to the center, it gives you a little bit different look. I like that. That's kind of cool too. So you could lay your 9 patches out like that. Maybe you'd want to do something like this. And this one is, there's another look. And then you could really have fun with your quilting on all of this light on the center. you could really focus on your quilting. So there's so many things you could do with it, but the block itself in my pattern, the Starlight pattern, does have the brights on the outside and the lights on the inside. And I don't know that you can see the quilting. Let me see if I can hide this for a moment. I don't know that you can see the quilting. There's so much light coming in. I don't know if you can actually tell that, but if you look in my book, you can see there's a lot of quilting and feathering in paisleys that I did in all of the lights. I did some circles in these brights. I just outlined some of it. Here are some feathers. So it was really a fun one to quilt. I also did a lot of feathers out here. I did a little bit of ruler work to outline, stitch different squares. But it was really a fun quilt to make, and I hope you all try it. So if you choose to use this, this is what you would need for one block. Let me spotlight that again. And I want to unspotlight this. There, now you can see it a little better. So this is what you would need for just one block. So if you wanted to make basically a 9-patch wall quilt, you'd take this times 9, or maybe you wanted 16 blocks in your quilt. You'd take this times 16, or 20, or 36 if you wanted a larger quilt. So that's simply all it is. And what I did is I just went to my bins and I pulled the values and the sizes that I needed for the quilt blocks, took them to my sewing machine and started sewing. It's great. I love it. So hopefully you'll try that. Does anybody have any questions about this block? You're welcome to unmute yourself and ask. We've got a few more ladies that have joined us. Thank you, ladies, for joining.
Lori,
Yes.
I do have a question. The rectangles that are half square triangles almost look like flying geese, right?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
If you wanted to make flying geese there instead, what is the size of that rectangle?
Okay, this
Is the same
rectangle,
as that?
yeah, this one unfinished is 4.5 by 2.5. So this is
Okay,
also
so
4.5 by 2.5. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions? So if your Christmas colors in your home, maybe they're blue and white, or maybe they're gold and silver, or maybe it's just all red and white, or whatever. There's so many things you could do with this pattern. And I encourage you to try and use up as many scraps as you can. And that's the goal, right? We don't want to have any of our scraps going to the Goodwill or to the dump. We want them to be used in quilts, beautiful quilts. Any other questions on that? And again, you can find this pattern in my book, The Scrappy Speedy Solutions. In fact, it's this quilt here. I think there's so much light coming down on it, I still don't think you can see the quilting, but this one is a really fun one to have a great time practicing your quilting, your free motion quilting on. Okay, now, let's see, what else did I want to chat with you ladies about? Get my notes here. Okay, I mentioned this earlier. In the spring, for January in 2021, actually it will be before spring, but in January, I am going to offer another mystery quilt via Zoom. I already have the quilt picked out. I was telling gals on the call here earlier, I've made one myself. It's a California king size, right, for the one that I've done. It's on my bed, and I've done it in purples and creams and blues. It's really pretty. But I'm going to offer it in a couple of different sizes. So there'll be a smaller size as well that you could have fun with. But those of you that want a bigger quilt, you'll be able to really easily change this size of this quilt. So I will offer that via Zoom. And the dates are January 11, 18, and 25. So it'll again be Monday evenings. I'm going to try and get it all done in January because my February, March, and May months are so busy that I just wanted to make sure I got the mystery quilt squared away before that all hit me. And I will send you an email. You'll get an email from my website. If you know of friends or family members who are interested in joining any of the mystery quilts, or even getting my newsletter, have them go out to my website. And on the homepage, there is a place there where you can sign up for my newsletters. And that's where you can also, you'll get a free ebook from me as well when you sign up there. But have them sign up there, and that way the information is in my website, and that person will then make sure she does get all of my notifications regarding mystery quilts and or newsletters. I do newsletters quarterly basically right now. So any questions on that before I go on? Okay. What I wanted to do now is take a look at, I'm going to get rid of this. Well, I'm going to go back to this one. Okay, there we go. What I'd love to do now is see your quilts. If you have quilts available near you that you can show us. I see Joan has hers right behind her. Joan, since I see yours right there, can you share a little bit about it? If you all can find Joan Ambling on your list of participants. You'll have to unmute yourself.
Okay. I made mine a little bit bigger and put a border on it. The picture doesn't, here, let me get out of the way. Here, I can bring it up so you can see, because I have it pinned up there. I don't know if you can see. I put stars and a row of stars and little blocks that represented the center.
Excellent. It's beautiful. She sent me a picture already of it, and it is beautiful. It's more of a twin size. It's a longer and narrow, so it's going to fit a twin size bed. And she's got some beautiful stars on the top and the bottom, so it's great. And Barb, since you're on my queue right here, why don't you show yours next, since you're right here? Great. Excellent. And I see the peach that you were talking about, that you wanted to make sure you had enough fabric for inside and outside. Beautiful. Great. They're both just lovely. Joan and Barb, thank you. And let's see, next on my list here is Bonnie. Bonnie, can you show yours? Is yours handy at all? Oh, look at there. She's got it on the wall. Oh, I thought it was the one on the wall. It's beautiful. Beautiful. Love it. Thank you. Gorgeous. All right, next, Mary. Oh, wait. Yeah, Mary is next. Barb, Bonnie, Joan. Mary, I've got you next on my list here. Can you show yours? Do you have yours handy? Look at that. Love it. Love the purple one too. That's neat. Purple leaf. It's gorgeous. Gorgeous. All right. And Linda, you're next on my list here. Wonderful. Love it. Excellent. Yours is really nice and scrappy too. I like that. Pulled up lots of scraps. Great. Thank you. And Pat, yours is right behind you there on the wall, I think, right? Move your camera to the left. There we go. Oh, yes. Okay. Excellent. Beautiful. Beautiful. And then Rose, do you have yours handy? You'll have to unmute yourself.
Mine is only laid out.
Okay. Excellent. Wonderful. Oh, I love it. Great. Okay. There we go.
The last step on there yet.
Great job.
Thank you.
Excellent. And next I have Janet. Janet Rose.
Let's see.
Beautiful. And she used 2 different backgrounds, which I think is great. Isn't that neat? She used it looks like a pale green, or maybe it's a blue, I'm not sure. And then a cream as well. Love it.
And on my leaves, I use 2 different fabrics for each leaf, so
Oh,
make it a
wonderful.
little different.
You did. Yep. I see that now. Excellent. And next, is it Lois McLaughlin? I'm not sure. It doesn't have the first name. It just has an L. You'll have to unmute yourself.
Yes, it's Lois.
Okay. Do you have one you can
All right.
show us? Ooh, look at that. And she used 2 tones on the leaves too. I love it. Yep. It's great. Excellent.
Thank you.
And Jennifer, do you have one to show us? Jennifer Ulbrich? No?
No, I'm in my office, so I don't have it here.
Okay, that's fine. Not a problem. And Anne, how about you? Anne Gadara, do you have one to show us? Oh, I love the background. That's different. Yep, that's great. Now yours looks bigger. Is it bigger than, or is it a wall quilt? Okay, beautiful. Thank you. And then we have Marjorie. Don't have one available? Okay.
No, I don't. Unfortunately, my machine went down, so
Oh, did
it's in the machine hospital right now. Get
Okay.
back tomorrow, so.
Sounds good. All right. Yeah, that happens. How about Miriam? Is that a no? Okay.
I don't have it finished
Okay.
yet.
That's fine. That's fine. I just want to give everybody an opportunity if they do. How about Sandy? Sandy, I think I see yours right behind you there.
Yes.
Great.
I added extra leaves, smaller leaves to top and bottom.
Oh, that's right. That's
Nice.
what they were talking about before the session started. Focus in on those tiny leaves. Look at that, ladies. She's the mathematician. She reduced her
Oh,
leaves.
nice.
Great. Love it.
Yeah.
Thank you. Excellent. And then we have another Lois here. Or have I already spoken to you, Lois? You have to unmute yourself.
Sorry, I corrected the name.
Oh, okay. All right. Gotcha. Gotcha. All right.
Sorry.
That's all right. And then Kimberly is next on my list here. But you know what? I see that you're not showing the computer, so I'll just wait for your photo from you. And let's see. Then we have Barbara Schutte. I think I just got a picture from you. Would this be the email that it came from was Adrian Schutte? I believe that might be yours. Can you unmute yourself? She must be busy. But I saw hers. It's beautiful. She sent that one to me. And then Faye, how about you? Can you unmute? Can you show yours or no? All right. I think that's about it. So here's what I'd like. If for those of you who can, I've gotten 7 or 8 photos from ladies so far. So please email me a digital copy of your quilt. And if you just want to put it on the floor and take a picture, that's fine. I know some of you took them outside. It was gorgeous. But the wind, I guess, was fighting you too. But the pictures I have received so far are beautiful. Go ahead and send that, email it to me. And then also include your name and your city and state. Because I would like to include your name and city and state, if I could, on the virtual quilt show. And I'm going to place that out I'll stream it to YouTube. Plus, I'll place it on my website. And I'll put it out on my Quilting with Lori Facebook page, so you can find it in all 3 of those different locations. So any questions at all that we have right now?
Lori, what was the date that you wanted them to be sent to you?
If you could get them to me by this weekend, that would be fabulous. By November 13th, that would be great. By
All
Friday.
right. If they're not quilted already, you like that too, or you want
Right.
them only when you're
Yeah, they don't have to be quilted. They can just pieced. If you can get them quilted by then, that's great. But that's not necessary. I don't expect anyone to have time to get that done before Friday. I just would love to see the quilts. And maybe we'll do another quilt show, you know, in a month or so, maybe in the 2021 timeframe, where you do have them all quilted. That would be really fun to see, you know, a full shot and maybe some close-ups of your quilting. That would be a lot of fun. I'd love to do that as well. So we'll keep that in mind. So, well, this has been fun. I have really enjoyed it. I've enjoyed meeting all of you and getting to know you at the best that we can. And I'm getting emails from many of the ladies who are not actually on the Zoom call. They prefer just to contact me via email, and they're working on the quilt itself, following the information that I placed out on my website on the blog. And any questions you have, most of those should have been answered out in the blog or in the videos. But if not, I am just an email away. Just get in touch with me and I can, you know, try and answer any questions you have. And check out my store if you're interested in any of the books or the templates. Love to be able to get those to you. And I look forward to the January mystery quilts, and I hope all of you join me again for that. So at this point, I think I'll go ahead and say goodbye for now, unless there's anyone else that has something they want to share.
Can I just ask a quick question?
Absolutely.
Do you already have your quilts quilted?
I do not. I wanted to get mine done this weekend, but I had a number of funerals. We had so much going on, so it did not happen.
When you do, could you share them with us, please?
I would love to, sure.
I never know how to go about the quilting, so I would love the ideas if you don't mind.
Absolutely. Yes, I will do that. In fact, I will put a blog out there. Once I get them quilted, I'll put a new blog out there, and I'll highlight different blocks so that you can take a look at those. And
that would be lovely. Thank you very much.
Sure. Yeah. Now, I do use my long arm because I just don't care to use my domestic machine. I guess I'm spoiled, right? But my long arm is not computerized. So it's all free motion or ruler work or a panto. And on this one, I'll definitely be doing free motion and ruler work. So.
Thank you very much, Lori.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you so much, ladies. It was really fun, and it sounds like you all enjoyed it. So I hope to see you all back in January.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
All right. You take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.